Chapter 6: The Gilded Ghettos of Lubumbashi. Chimes from the house a few hundred feet up the forested hill clanged discordantly, their tones tangled by the slow rises of breeze milling through the towering eastern white pines. Feathery needles swayed from their branches in rhythm with the wind's lazy march. The afternoon was retiring, and long shadows stretched and blended over the darkening, uneven ground. A last few rays from the descending sun filtered through the skeletal canopy. The cabin crouched at the edge of a clearing, its weathered logs darkened with age and moss creeping up the stone foundation like the fingers of some ancient force reclaiming its own. No snow sat on the ground, but the cold was bitter and deep. Only a dirty white bucket at the west corner betrayed modernity. Sagging slightly under the weight of years, patched and repatched pine shingles gave up their red dye to grey and charcoal with encroaching evening. A tendril of smoke curled and dissolved into the twilight air from the rear of the house, and over the roofline courtesy of an unorthodox fireplace ventilation decision. Accordingly, a handful of the regular visitors to the home of Colonel Stephen Prather, including a journalist from the now-defunct Baltimore Spire, panicked in various ways, believing the property to be on fire. The local fire authority now refused calls. Facing frontward, a modest and unevenly paned window surveyed the clearing and any visitors with dust-dimmed, jangled glass. Small and cramped, the entryway was heavy with the scent of old paper, pine resin, and oddly ozone. Escaping to the squat living room only offered stuffed shelves buckling with the cracked spines of auspicious titles, whispering promises. Cryptid Atlas, the untold mythos of Alice Petrolio, Father Ricardo Redondo's Manual of Spectral Management. Faded maps clung haphazardly to precious wall space, curling to escape their tax. Pentacles, a crude carved wooden Hamza hand, a bag of runestones, stared out from glass cases wedged into corners. A spear tip sat in a faded mug with the Spot Johnny's logo, demoted by age from red to greyish pink. Through a turn, in the center of the cluttered den, an old leather armchair, its arms rubbed smooth to a dull sheen, sat before a chewed-up-looking desk. A brass lamp emitted a warm, steady glow. The Tascam Porter rested there, its meters gleaming faintly in the light, surrounded by cassette tapes labeled in a hurried scrawl. An open cassette case lay nearby, revealing a tape labeled FF4 Spot 2. Prather's breath drew in as if he expected to use it for days. He paused, fingers brushing across the dials of the tape recorder. He briefly adjusted the microphone in its stand. In 4 hours, he would be leaving for Sawyer International and a hopper through Houston to the port of Manzanillo. A press of the button and it was all underway. Many of you listening out there are like me, just normal patriots, taking their lunch pail to work day after day, only seeking to make a decent, honest living. That's hard enough on its own without the sycophants of this society, usually liberals, let's be honest, looking to separate us from our hard-earned money. It used to be as easy as slamming the door in the face of these neo-hippies or hanging up on junk calls. Somebody, somewhere, always seems to be looking to bleed us dry. I'm as ready as the next guy to help children on the African continent. But based on the works of Dr. Bailey Leopold's 3-book series, The Gilded Ghettos of Lubumbashi, many of us may actually be funding lavish lifestyles across the Atlantic. Worse yet, there are rumors online that the DRC, vis-à-vis a rogue entertainment lawyer, controls the tap water used by Casper, Wyoming. Well, you and I have just had a very powerful ally join the fight. I'm as excited as C. Thomas Howell to introduce to you Fraud Force 4. With operations controlled from a converted liquid mud barge, subject only to maritime law, Sir Garrick Tremaine and his biologically verified sister Annette founded this amazing organization from the ashes of Fraud Force 3. Most of us remember the tragic end to FF3 following the 1987 Gurney Channel catastrophe. As a living memorial to the 11 men, women, and livestock who lost their lives that day, Fraud Force 4 has dedicated themselves to applying techniques of espionage and persuasion no longer practiced thanks to the soft, politically correct regimes of the Western world. Garrick and Anne promise a simple vision. Imagine all your unwelcome interruptions disappearing overnight. That's exactly what you can expect with Fraud Force 4. What happens next is the truly magical part of the equation. It's what Sir Garrick calls the four promises of FF4 experience. 1. You'll receive professionally video-recorded apologies from each of the solicitors previously bombarding your household. For those that are squeamish by nature, you may be put off by the disheveled and even injured appearance of the persons in these videos. But bear in mind, these folks tend to be a bit overly dramatic to begin with, so don't fall for even the last tricks in their bag. 2. With these pretenders out of the picture, you'll start receiving bona fide offers from respectable brokers, like Billy Turk Solutions, offering physical and property protection, debt collection, and emergency loan services, all without the paperwork and tax filings that stifle the entrepreneurial spirit. 3. Why pay for the shipping and handling to send and receive gifts and goods to your friends, loved ones, and business associates? Through a co-branded agreement with Crowblood Couriers International, not only can you enjoy lower rates for common items, but you'll finally get a crack at those more unique markets that are often disparaged by the elite as contraband or illegal. Fourth, and I think best, when you join the Fraud Force 4 family, you gain a new source of income. As a prestigious Deputy of Counter-Fraudulence, or Honorary Citizen Fraud Force 4 Emissary, you will be provided an information packet and presentation materials so that you can introduce the program to those you love, cherish, and want to see enriched. When you sign up just 3 new emissaries to the service, you achieve the rank of Executive Emissary. When you accumulate 3 layers of Executive Emissary, you are promoted to General Executor of Counter-Fraudulence, with perks like photo sessions with up to 1 family member of your choice, standing on the bow of the Queen Lungfish, the flagship of the Fraud Force 4 fleet. If you're interested, and why wouldn't you be, visit farleywilsonbasstours56.com to schedule your discreet assessment on a secured line. I recommended this to taxidermy puppeteer troupe, frozen in flight down in Flint, and I have not heard from them since. I say good for you, Terry and Marjorie, and I'm glad you're living your best life. Say goodbye to scams and hello to a warm and protective family financial atmosphere. Fraud Force 4, who remind you that fighting fraud starts with disposing through the purifying rain of vengeance the disguised fire serpents that guard the gaping portal to the smouldering immortal soul. Rising from his chair, he started to turn, then defying his absent-mindedness, clicked the recorder into off position. Next to a framed picture of Marisol were 2 wrapped, wallet-sized gift boxes, one for each of the last 2 Christmases. Time to pack.